Okay. All right. Hey guys, Mike McCann. I'm here to talk about why I believe all states should require voter identification in elections. The debate surrounding voter identification requirements in the United States has intensified in recent years, as I'm sure you guys are all aware. I think that voter ID laws are essential for guarding the integrity of our local, our state, and our national elections. I know opponents may raise concerns about accessibility, and especially within marginalized groups. But I think a nationwide standard would help to reinforce public trust. There is a ton of recent research providing support for voter identification laws. A 2023 study in the Journal of Election Administration found that states with strict voter ID laws reported less claims of voter fraud. And then in 2022, a report from the Bipartisan Policy Center saw more efficient administration in polling places in those states that have those laws in place. A majority of Americans across all demographics, lots of studies do show that they support these laws. There is a particular study in 2024 was an analysis done by the Pew Research Center, and they saw that these laws were a way to protect our elections. Even to further drive home the point, a policy brief from the Center for Election Innovation and Research in 2021 demonstrated that states with identification mandates didn't experience much decline in voter turnout. There was some, but it wasn't drastic. So, I mean, a lot of this just seems very straightforward. It surprised me when I was researching this to see that there are still a good number of states that don't require you to show identification when you turn up to vote. And I mean, I just thinking out loud, like, what are we thinking? It just compromises everything when you're looking for a fair election and you want to sort of quiet the noise around election fraud. Voter ID would help quell impersonation at the polls. It would improve the accuracy of the elections, and then it would just instill greater confidence overall in the fairness of our elections. There have been 3 states in the last 10 years that have implemented these laws: Georgia, Indiana, Wisconsin, and all of them have seen an uptick in confidence through exit polling, and there has not been a decline in voter turnout in those 3 states. I remember back in 2000 was my junior year of high school, and that election was Al Gore and George W. Bush. And there was a huge deal about the recount and the Scantrons that they used, where you punch out the chads, you punch out the holes to do the vote. And I remember the recount took like 2 months, and that was all about election fairness. And so we're 25 years removed from that. I just think that the nation should have a law in place that requires all states to have voter ID. I think it's a huge step in strengthening our democracy if we were to have all states require that. And hopefully policymakers will heed the evidence, ensuring that every citizen's vote is both protected and counted. Thank you guys. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do. Won't mandatory laws like this disproportionately affect marginalized groups?
There are a lot of studies that support that. Obviously, that's a big part of the argument. It is more difficult for marginalized groups to get identification. I know from moving frequently. When you move, you gotta obviously get new identification, whether it's a driver's license or another form of ID. And to get those IDs, you have to provide documentation. And it's not always easy to provide documentation. especially within certain communities. Like I know the trans community, I know the African American community, the Latino community, they have far less driver's licenses than the Caucasian community does. And so that would just be harder for them to turn out to vote if they didn't have those IDs with them. So obviously that's an obstacle that we have to figure out. But I do think bottom line is to be able to vote, I think you should have to show proof of identification with a picture. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, how many states require an ID to vote?
As of right now, there are 23 states that require a photo ID to vote in elections. You have to bring it with you when you vote. There are 13 states that require some type of identification, but not photo. And then there are still 14 states that don't require any identification at all to vote, which sort of blows my mind, and one of the reasons that I'm taking this stance on what I believe we should do as a country. Thank you guys very much. Have a great night.